Mike, thank you very much indeed. Welcome back to Jerusalem. And it was, of course, a big day of diplomacy yesterday with smiles and handshakes between world leaders, both here in Israel and in Egypt. But tonight, it seems hope and optimism, which greeted the peace deal, is being sorely tested. So can this really be seen as a success for Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, and what of the future? With me now is Zvika Klein, editor-in-chief of the Jerusalem Post. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
And it seemed yesterday that this country was starting to emerge from the trauma of October the 7th, if you like. Is that how you see it?
Yeah, so I mean, you told me you were here actually right after October 7th. Yeah. So you could actually make that comparison, and I kind of agree. People are just yearning for a normal, day-to-day life. And this is what was holding them back. So, this still isn't over because most of the bodies of those killed haven't been returned, and also in Judaism, it's a big thing to bury someone in the proper way. People are starting to breathe. One of my reporters texted me the day after the announcement. She said, "It's the first time I was able to breathe in the past 2 years." So people are looking towards this future, and also optimistic about potential, diplomatic relations with other countries, etc.
Yeah. Does this mean going back to pre-October October the 7th, when, of course, Israel was hugely divided? I mean, there were protests going on the whole time.
All the time.
Is this going back to that kind of thing, or is it going back to a different sort of political scene here? What do you think?
So we have been returning to a certain sentiment of division. I feel like the past few days, again, you see a lot more unity and people getting together, singing together, going to the hostage square in Tel Aviv. But I truly believe that Israel before October 7th and after October 7th is just a whole different Israel. And even if in the next election, sometime in the next year, things won't change dramatically, I feel like the election afterwards, it will, because there's so many internal elements that have shifted during this period of time, and people use the term rebuilding the country.
Will Benjamin Netanyahu be taken along with this? Will he be able to lead this? Because Donald Trump was unequivocal yesterday. He said the war is over. Benjamin Netanyahu said our fight is not over. Those who wish to do us harm are already regrouping. Now that's a big difference.
Yeah.
And there are many who say, of course, that Benjamin Netanyahu prolonged the war for his own political means at the cost of thousands of lives, at the cost of Israel's international reputation in many ways, and at the cost of some more danger to the hostages. Will he, do you think, go along with this framework?
I think he will go along with this framework. I think he wouldn't have made the steps he's made up until now if he wasn't going to make those steps. I don't think he can afford stepping back right now. And also internally, the opposition in the Knesset will support any steps he makes with regards to normalization with Arab countries, with regards with ending the war, which is what we're talking about at the moment. I think the war is pretty much over. There's still the question of 20-something bodies of hostages who are just. It's very unclear where it is. Is it Hamas?
That they may never be. I mean, presumably Hamas is saying we're having difficulty finding them.
Right.
The sad truth.
It makes sense, though. It does make sense. I may be naive, but at the beginning of the war, a very senior American official, told me there's going to be a lot of, unfortunately, a lot of these, people killed. We won't be able to find them.
But there is this tension for Netanyahu between what is now, as you say, a diplomatic triumph, standing with Trump, all this stuff, but also the tension of him dealing with the anger, the resentment of the far right in his coalition. Which one does he go with is the question.
It's very interesting, an internal Israeli element. he has support from center, left, and left, obviously, and he has a support from those who are, we call them Bibistim, those who support Netanyahu, which is a big chunk of people. The only ones who don't support this deal are the ones who are on the more far right. So
who could collapse his government?
Not really.
You don't think?
Not really, no. Because he'll have that support from the outside, and we're talking about elections anyways in the very near future. So it doesn't really matter. And if you'd have elections tomorrow, he may actually win again. So
do you think?
That could be.
So you think that what's happening now plays well for him?
I think so. I think so. Yeah.
And what has happened in the last 2 years? I mean, if he's judged, for instance, if he is judged by the security failures of October the 7th, then surely he's done for, isn't he?
100%. But you see it in every single survey, and this is not my own opinion. This is the opinion of what you see in all polls, is that he's back pretty much to his strength in the theoretical political polls.
Quite low approval ratings.
What?
I guess that's true of all leaders.
Oh yeah. The ratings aren't amazing,
right.
But yeah.
But here's the point. Here's the real nub of it, isn't it? That Benjamin Netanyahu is basically saying no to a Palestinian state. The two-state solution, he's not having it.
Right.
So then, how does that work? How is that if the Palestinians know that they're not going to get a state? How does it then work ultimately? Because presumably it's not going to work unless that happens.
Right. So that's a good question. If you read closely the 20-point plan, right, that President Trump, I know you have. So there's talks of a step towards, right, some sort of Palestinian entity
aspiration.
Or exactly, which is exactly what Saudi Arabia has been saying in the past few years. If you want to have normalization with us, you have to show that willingness. And he said that also. Netanyahu also said, he said, if they are de-radicalized, etc., if they're not, teaching to kill.
And my point is that Trump has got Egyptians on side, the Saudis on side, the Turks on side, and they're all saying, I mean,
there will be some sort of solution. The question is it the classic two-state solution? Well, and the answer is probably not.
Well, what else? I mean, King Hussein of Jordan said last night, without a peace process leading to a Palestinian state, the Middle East is doomed.
Right.
And they're backing this framework.
They're all supporting this,
so
right.
Just finally, I've only got a minute left on the program. Do you think it could happen down the road, or it won't?
It could potentially happen. Israel, as we said, is different after October 7th. Israelis are not as open as they were. Therefore, there will be some sort of entity. Right. The question is how it will be considered to be.
Zvika, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Right, you're watching the News Hour. Coming up at 6, we'll have much more on all this. Crack show in the Gaza peace deal.